Brian Powell of I Run Far here with Marianne Hogan after her second place finish at the 2022 UTMB. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. You had one heck of a day out there yesterday in all sorts of senses, yeah?
Yeah, for sure. It was quite the roller coaster ride.
Indeed. You started out really strong, running really fast. Did you have a sense of kind of how your day was going into Saint-Gervais-les-Contamines, or?
Yeah, pretty much. I think I was feeling very good, and I usually like to run on feeling. And also, like, the strategy was more as to like trying to get a feel for the front of the race and how far behind I would have been from the leaders. But I was feeling pretty good since the beginning, so I think it was a good start.
Did you get some updates on sort of where you were in the field in the first 30, 50 kilometers?
Yeah, of course, I was getting updates. A lot of people were giving me updates throughout the course, but also specific people who were there for that specific reason.
Yeah. So you were feeling good and moving well. Were you kind of amazed at how far Katie was in front?
I was. She started off really quickly. She, I think, easily took 15 or 20 minutes on me. I think through going down Le Col du Bonhomme, I think is where she took the biggest lead on me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were feeling good and moving well the whole time.
Yeah. I was feeling good and moving well, but I was having some stomach issues, so it wasn't my best. But I think that's kind of like a pattern that I noticed, is at the beginning I always feel a little like when you start an ultra, it takes a while before the machine really gets started.
So it's a little, does that challenge you mentally, or do you know that that's part of what happens for you?
Yeah, I know that, you're kind of just go up and down, and eventually I'll start feeling good again, and that's what happened.
Yeah, indeed. What was going on from Courmayeur up to Grand Col Ferret? You just flew, because Katie wasn't moving poorly, but you made up 20 minutes on one climb.
Yeah. So I'm really someone who kind of goes on feeling, and I was feeling great when I got into Courmayeur. Like, I was ready to go, and I started running, and I did that first climb very fast, and then that other section is kind of like a section that is really more my strength than the rest of the course. So I just decided that I was gonna go as fast as I could in that section, or given the fact that I'm still running 100 miles,
Yeah.
But I was feeling good, and then when I got to Arnuvaz, I was told that I was only 2 minutes behind her, so that was quite shocking to me.
So there's another big climb from Arnuvaz up to the Col, and so did you end up catching her and spending some time together, or how was the dynamic of actually passing?
Yeah, I mean, we're racing 170K and not like 100K or however that is. So I was just like, oh, she's there. I can see her. I'm not in a hurry. I mean, there's no reason to be the first at the top. So I was just kind of staying behind and taking that climb easy.
Mm-hmm.
But when we got to the top, I also really like downhill. And that's a really nice downhill to kind of go for it. So I just decided that it was a good time for me to accelerate and take her on.
And while you're behind her for some kilometers, are you observing? Are you sort of seeing how she looks, gauging energy, or?
Yeah, well, I was told in Arnuvaz that she had thrown up. I could see that she was incredibly white. Her face was very white, and I told her after the race, because I didn't want to, sometimes it can be maybe like terrifying if someone tells you like you look really sick, but I was actually pretty worried for her. But she obviously turned it around, so I'm really happy that she was able to do that. But I noticed that she was not feeling well for sure.
Yeah. So when you're getting to La Folie, Champélac, do you think like, all right, I'm feeling great, I'm in the lead, this is mine to win, or what?
Yeah, I mean, I was feeling really good at that point. I was just like, it's as if I just started the race. I was feeling great. But the climb going up to Champélac is where I started getting mechanical issues, which is pretty disappointing, to be honest. It's kind of heartbreaking, but it's part of the game, It's something's happen, and you just have to deal with them. So that's what I did.
Yeah. So fill us in a little bit on what that was. And
yeah, so I've been dealing with some injuries for quite some time. I spiral fractured my right tibia and fibula 3 years ago now. And I've been dealing with some repercussions ever since. And my left side is always the one compensating. And I've noticed that maybe like if I do like a higher load of training, or a race like UTMB will do that to you. So my left side was just starting to completely jam, and what was going on is that my hip completely stopped working, and it was every time that I lifted my leg, it's as if like a knife was going through it. So it was incredibly painful, and at that point I just knew that my only goal was to finish, and I think that's what I did.
How did you have the courage to do that? I mean, I'm looking down, you're wearing sandals, and you have these awful cuts between the top of your foot and your ankle, and that looks like it would be painful, but you're not even thinking about that. Your hip is so much worse. How do you decide to continue?
I mean, I came out here to have a good time, and I knew that I was gonna have a good time if I finished. And you know, when you take part of the race, there's certain reasons why, and for me it was clear that I wanted to finish. And I was still in pretty good spot. Like, it's not as if I was still in second, and there was some talk that I could hold on to second even if I was gonna have to walk my way through the finish. So there was never a time where I said I was going to stop. But there was definitely a time, or lots of times, where I was like, "This is not fun."
I mean, it was just watching on camera, like I'm sort of at both sides of Valocine. It's quite flat, and like bike paths, like, and you're walking the flat and not even fast. Like
I could not. That was actually the worst part of the race. Okay. I don't know why it got so worse, but so bad. But on the way down to Valorcine, that whole descent, which is a pretty good descent, were easily runnable. I could just walk it. Like, I couldn't even lift my leg to, and I had to use the poles with every step, so I was going so slow, and it was pretty discouraging. But I kept moving forward, and I think that's what you need to do, you know.
How did you manage the pain? Like, talking to somebody, not crewing you, but somebody who was, I think, following the race, just saying, like, your pain management, or your ability to tolerate pain is off the charts.
Yeah, I mean, I have a list of injuries that kind of provided good experience for me, but I don't know, to me, pain, I mean, I know that it's kind of a cheesy line, but I think pain is temporary, and that's just what I reminded myself, you know, like, I'm in pain right now, but I'm going to be happy that I pulled through. So I was just, my sole focus was to make it to the finish line, and I just had to kind of make abstraction of the pain that I was going through.
Yeah, and how did it feel when you finally were coming into Chamonix and the last kilometer or two?
Yeah, it's really funny though, because I was told that Caitlin was picking up on me, and so I like really tried to run that last downhill, which I think kind of made the pain completely worse. So even running through Chamonix, I was worried that she was catching on to me, and I was like, this is not where I want to be caught.
Yeah.
But it was still, I mean, running through Chamonix is just, I think one of the highlights of the race, but minus Saint-Gervais. I think running through Saint-Gervais was quite the...
Because you still feel really good at 30 kilometers. Yeah. But was it even maybe more fulfilling or more... I mean, finishing second at UTMB is amazing. Did it, in those last kilometers or hitting the line, did it feel even like more of an accomplishment because it was such a difficult finish?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy, the feelings that I have right now, and I'm very grateful that I got second, and I'm very happy. I'm just kind of disappointed that a mechanical issue made it really difficult for me, and it's really something that I want to work to repair, because clearly if I don't change something, it's going to keep happening. So it was very fulfilling, and I was incredibly happy, you know, that I managed to do it. But there's definitely a part of me that is just kind of thinking like, I wish that hadn't happened, but it did, and I did the very best I could given the circumstances.
Yeah, and maybe you'll try again here someday?
Definitely, I'm coming back for sure.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to ask you about is how you were incredibly versatile this season to be on the podium at Western States, which is, it's mountainous, but it's much more runnable than this is a very rugged mountain race in terms of elevation profile. How do you combine those two seasons and succeed at both?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think that for me, the sole focus of this season was Western States. And I, you know, the whole build-up was I was building up towards Western States, and UTMB was more of a bonus. So when people kept asking me, like, oh, how are you going to manage both? I was like, well, I mean, I'll have 4 weeks, because 2 weeks off Western, 4 weeks to build, and then 2 weeks to relax. So I just did the best that I could within those 4 weeks, which I think I really maximized my elevation gain. And I came out here earlier in August. So early August, I was out in Chamonix running as much vert as I could. And it's crazy how how quickly the body adapts. I'm definitely not. I definitely wouldn't say that my strength is hiking and walking up hills.
Yeah.
But I was able to get better at it during those few weeks, and I think that's how I was able to accomplish both races, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Courmayeur, I heard you say, I can't eat gels. Is that all the time, or was that just yesterday?
It's really hard for me. Like sometimes when my body is just like it's going through these is going through all of these ups and downs. Like I feel like my stomach is just it has difficult taking gels, which I still am able to, but I try to focus more on taking like some purees, which is a little thicker.
Yeah.
And then real food I try because it's easier for me to, and it's also like I get hungry. I don't know, like in the middle of a race usually I'm like I'm starving. I could eat like
you want something to sate your
yeah,
stomach.
Exactly, yeah.
So you say you want real food, but you also had a lot of Coca-Cola.
Yeah.
How much Coke do you think you drank?
I don't know, but I don't think I want to ask myself the question. And ultra running I wouldn't say is the joke is like ultra running is healthy and everything, but I consumed way too much Coke yesterday.
And you also had some pizza. Did you have any other good food out there?
I had some sandwiches, some pizza, and like I was taking some cheese at the aid stations.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's kind of food that I'm able to consume fine. Like I don't necessarily, I mean, I say this, but I also had quite the digestion problems at Western States, and I was having a little bit of problems yesterday too. So I don't know. I think for me, I try to eat what I'm craving at the moment, and not try to plan, X gels per hour just because it'll just make me sick, and that's not good.
Yeah. So you had mechanical issues. You had some trouble eating. What do you dream you could do if you can continue to work on those things? And
yeah, I don't know, but I guess I'm gonna work to find out.
There you go.
Yeah.
Is your season over? Are you gonna give yourself a little break, or are you gonna transition to train for some other race now?
No. I think that doing the double is very tricky, and I realize that. I understand that, and I would like to stay in the ultra running scene for more than just a year. So I'm gonna take some time off. I'm not gonna put anything else on the schedule for a little while. The next race I have on the schedule is Western States 2023.
All right, we'll see you there. Congratulations on a great race.
Thank you.